Well, hello everyone. My name is Jay Berkowitz, and thank you all for being here today. We've got an all-star cast to learn all about legal marketing technology. And I'll introduce the guests shortly, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about why we're here and why this is so important. The first thing is that the technology is perhaps the tool, and the technology gives us, most importantly, business intelligence. And I think as you see and hear from our 5 speakers today, we're going to learn how important these tools are to track exactly who's coming to your websites and what they do when they get there. So for example, if somebody does a Google search for car accident attorney, they have a couple options. They can click on a button and go to a website. They can click and they can directly call. So this is a click to call button. So the first information that we can extract from the technologies we're going to learn about today is what keyword did they search? Did they click or call to come to our website, or did they just call directly? And then if they click and come to the website, did they fill out a form? Did they do a chat? Or did they call from the number on the website? And then we're going to try and determine, is that a good lead or is that not so good a lead? And we can track that all the way back to the keyword. And then we can track whether or not they signed up as a client. And finally, we can determine the value of that client. So this marketing intelligence, this marketing information becomes critically important because we know the value of the clients and we can track it all the way back to the TV ad they saw or the keyword they searched or the referral source that they came in from. So the first thing you need for this business intelligence is you need to link your goals or your conversions in your Google Analytics. So that's the first step. You want to tie all of the folks that we're meeting today to your website analytics. So your Apex chat, your call rail calls, your unbounced landing pages, everything will be tracked on your Google Analytics. And in this example, this client got 5,491 goal completions. And a goal is a lead, essentially. It's somebody who started a chat, filled out a form, or made a phone call from the website or the landing page and essentially became a lead. So a goal, what Google calls a goal or a conversion, is a lead in the parlance, in the marketing parlance that we use. And then we can get more and more valuable information. And we use a lot of different tracking tools, but this is just a simple Excel spreadsheet. And in this example, you'll see that this client got 1,747 calls, 411 clients were retained from phone calls. And that's a 24% ratio. So 24% of those calls turned into clients. Among the chats, we had 473 chats, 41 clients retained, a 9% ratio. And overall, we retained 471 new clients, signed clients at an 81% ratio. From 2,621 leads, we had 471 clients. And again, the importance of this webinar today is the tools give us this valuable information. So once again, my name is Jay Berkowitz. I'm the founder of 10 Golden Rules. We're a digital marketing agency that specializes in law firms. My partner agency, Snap Agency, specializes in all other clients. But today, of course, we're here to talk about law firms. So the first thing we're going to talk about are landing pages. And we've actually used all the tools you're going to see here today. And so this is an example of a landing page. We're going to hear about chat, and Jason Williams is going to talk. He's going to go up first, and he's going to talk about the little chat boxes that pop up when you come to a website or you're on a cell phone. Jessica Clark is here from CallRail, and she's going to talk about tracking phone calls. Ashley Luck is from Unbounce. We'll talk about landing pages. Here's an example of some of the landing pages we've built for our clients over the years. And we have over 2,300 different landing pages that we've built for clients. And Harlan Schillinger is here, and he's from Lead Docket. And he's going to talk about, once you get those leads, how you track those leads and get them into your CRM. And he's going to really bring his high level of professionalism and talk about the value of all of this technology. And finally, Claude Simpson is here from Smart Advocate, which is a legal CRM and case management software. And he's going to bring us home with the Smart Advocate presentation. So first up, I'm going to switch over to Jason's presentation. Bear with me for 1 minute. And Jason, if you just want to give me a heads up and say next slide, I'll turn it over to you. Oh, no, actually, I'll introduce you first.
Sure.
Jason's a senior manager with Apex, over 7 years experience with the firm, and he's helped over 500 law firms utilize live chat. He likes to take walks on the beach and exercise, and he used to travel with his wife. We're not sure what he's doing and Apex Chat are live chat agents and services for law firms and help law firms with lead gen. And it's a very easy to install live chat software. As we said, all of our clients, law firm clients, either have Apex Chat or another chat service. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jason.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you, everyone that's attending today. I understand that your time is very valuable, so I'll just jump right into it. I'm going to be talking about live chat and also just other forms of messaging, SMS, texting that's out there that you could utilize to get more leads out of your website. So we've done a survey, and we've seen that the average American spends 26 minutes texting, and this could be iMessage or just your normal text message or any Facebook Messenger, any app that you use to message your friends, your family members. So people are texting more as opposed to over the phone, and studies show that they're 26 minutes texting versus 6 minutes on the phone on phone calls. So next slide. And then also 79% of consumers favor live chat. So when people come to your website, they might be at a place where phoning isn't appropriate. It may be after hours and over the weekends when they may not feel comfortable picking up the phone and calling you. So they may prefer to chat with someone on your website instead. And 79% of consumers we've seen favor live chat. Next slide. And then we've seen, we work with a company called Twilio, which specializes in text messaging. And they did a survey, and it showed that while 89% of consumers would like to use messaging to communicate with businesses, only 48% of those businesses are equipped to connect with customers through a message. So you don't want to be missing out on, if you don't have any sort of, messaging or texting or chat on your site, you may be missing out on a lot of leads, and you don't want to be one of those 48% of those businesses that don't have, that aren't equipped to connect with customers through a message. So I'll just quickly go over what the two main messaging tools, and I'll cover live chat and SMS text messaging as well. And I'll just go over what they look like as well. So this is an example of a chat invitation design of ours, and we customize it in a way so that it fits the colors and everything of your website. So it's very important nowadays to include like a proactive invitation. So if you are considering investing in live chat, you want to use a proactive invitation which has some sort of animation which grabs the visitor's attention. And you want it to be a little discreet. You don't want it to like pop up in your website visitor's face. So as you can see, this invitation is appearing at the bottom right-hand corner. So it doesn't really get in the visitor's way, and it doesn't block any sort of content that you have on your website. So this is an example of texting, like the way the text feature looks. So we've seen that half the chats we get daily come from mobile devices, and especially nowadays when people are working from home, and it's just more convenient for them to visit your website from their mobile device as opposed to getting out their laptop or computer. So if they visit your website and you have a mobile friendly website, you want to add texting on there. So it's just a great way to for people to start up a live chat via text message, and the chat service that you choose would handle that for you 24/7. So there are a lot of chat companies out there, and there are like a lot of different options that you could choose and select from. So the first option is if you want, you can outsource your chats to companies like Apex Chat or other companies out there, and we would handle your chats for you 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So anytime a person comes to your website, there will always be an industry-trained live chat agent available to ask and answer their questions. The second option is if you want to handle your chats internally. Now, the downfall with that option is maybe you're busy with a client, or you have to go to court, or maybe you don't have the staff to handle all your chats internally. And then the third option is a combination of both, which we also offer. So if you want to handle your chats internally during regular business hours and then have it rolled over to another, your chat provider, that's certainly an option as well. And then of course, the quicker you are able to respond to your visitors, the better conversions you're going to get. We've seen that people nowadays that are handling their own chats internally, sometimes 21% of the chats that they get, like they don't respond to, and that could really be bad for your conversions, because people tend to get ticked off, and if they don't receive an answer right away, then they tend to go to a competitor website, and that's the last thing you'd want to do. So we like to focus on answering and responding to chats within at least 20 to 30 seconds. That's always our goal. We've seen that 42% of leads that are captured come after normal business hours. So that's why it's really important to have a 24/7 live chat service, as opposed to having one that's like, just online just during regular business hours, because again, you don't want to be missing out on leads that come in after regular business hours and over the weekends. Chat overall, if you are considering to invest in live chat, you should see a 35 to 40% increase in online website conversions. So that's 40% more leads that you'll be getting from your website after implementing our, a chat service. So yeah, if you have any questions regarding the chat, or if you have any questions regarding texting for your website, feel free to get in touch with me, and these are my contact information.
Jason, that's great, and thank you for getting it in so quickly. I took a couple notes while I was going through, and a few of the things that I thought were really valuable. You said half of the chats are mobile now.
Oh yeah.
48% prefer to text. So what's the split now on chat and text, and what's the evolution of text, and how important is that for lawyer leads?
So for lawyers, especially like we work with like a lot of personal injury law firms. And one thing that we have seen is that a lot of people, like before texting was around, they'd come back to us and they'd be like, you sent us a lead and you provided the person's contact information and everything, but we tried calling them and we were unable to get a hold of them. So, is there something that you could do? And, we were, really limited to, as what we could do is because, we used to tell them that this is the information that your visitor provided us. We didn't alter the contact information whatsoever. But with the help of our texting feature, we don't really have to worry about having this problem, because, when they're texting us, we already have their cell phone number, and we don't even have to ask them for their contact information. And, especially, during this whole COVID situation, it's just more convenient for people to just, visit the internet from their mobile device as opposed to getting out their laptop and, browsing the internet from their laptop or computer. So that's why texting has been a game changer for our clients, and it's we've seen an increase of 34% in mobile chat leads with the help of our texting.
An increase over what time period?
I'd say about 2.5 years.
Okay, great. And what percentage of people are offering text today?
So I don't. I haven't seen other chat companies provide texting on mobile. They have like different methods of texting, but I haven't seen any like chat service out there that's providing live chat and texting for mobile and desktop.
Great. And perhaps the most important stat should not be left without speaking about. And you said that when you add chat, you see an increase in 40% in the number of leads. And we've seen that over and over. When we meet a lawyer or any other client who doesn't have chat, we add chat to the website and the landing pages, and we see 30 to 40% more leads overall. The phone calls go down a little bit, the forms go down a little bit. But, if you had 100 leads in a month, you go to 130 leads, 140 leads. Can you explain, why do you think that is? Why is it so important to add chat?
So, a lot of times when I talk to attorneys, they say that, I have my phone number listed on my website. I have a contact form on my site. If someone's interested, then they'll just, call me, or they'll just fill out the form that I have on my site. So I think the reason why chat is so effective is because nowadays people want that instant gratification, and they want, answers right away as opposed to waiting to hear back from someone. And by the time you respond back to the visitor, they may be at a competitor website, and you don't want to miss out on that lead. So I think chat adds that instant gratification that people nowadays are more leaning towards, and it's a performance-based service, so there's very low risks involved, and it ends up paying for itself, and it just helps you get more number of cases.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to see if I can navigate over to Jessica's presentation.
Sure.
And of course it's hiding. Everyone bear with me for 1 minute. There we go. Make it big. Okay, great. All right, so next up is Jessica Clark from CallRail. And if everyone, all the attendees, please write down questions because we'll come back to everybody at the end. Next up, Jessica from CallRail. She's a senior product manager based in Atlanta, Georgia. She used to live down here in Florida. I'm in Boca Raton, but she wanted to get out of Florida after finishing her master's at University of Florida. She's been a very passionate marketer for over 15 years, and she's very, very dedicated to helping her customers. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jessica.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you guys about optimizing your marketing ROI, which is not necessarily something that people instantly think of when they think of phone calls and call tracking, but I'm going to talk about it in 3 different parts. So it's not enough anymore to just understand how many people are calling your business or even to understand where they came from, but also what data can be collected, and then how you take the insights from that data to optimize your marketing strategy. As Jay mentioned earlier, 24% of converted clients come from phone calls. So let's find out how they found you. So a couple of quick stats here that you've probably seen in previous presentations. As a matter of fact, I think I've seen one in one of Jay's previous presentations, but I'm going to just start off by helping you understand the landscape if you don't already. So 96% of people seeking legal advice start that process online. And 78% of the most expensive keywords relate to law firms and legal counsel. So that's probably not news to you because you are in the space and you are purchasing those keywords. But the point is, it can get costly. Next slide, Jay. And then if we're looking at marketing for legal firms in general, most firms are spending upwards of 10% of their revenue on marketing, sometimes even to 20%, depending on the size of firm and the type of law that you practice. And that is a significant portion of your budget. Next slide. As a matter of fact, it's actually about 50% of the budget that's being spent towards digital or online marketing. And that's likely because keywords are costly, like I mentioned. Competition is fierce in the space, as you know. And, you know, I say all that to say a lot of money is being spent on marketing, and it's important to understand the ROI of those marketing efforts so that you can adjust as needed. And luckily, the state of marketing analytics has evolved tremendously over the past 10 years and is allowing us to track more and more to remove that kind of guesswork out of what's working and what's not. So CallRail allows you as legal professionals to step away from the marketing analysis just a little bit and actually automatically tracks all of your online and offline engagement that leads to or results in phone calls. So I know some of you are doing a lot of online advertising as well as some outdoor or digital, or sorry, print advertising on direct mail and that sort of thing. So it allows you to bring together the pieces of the journey that you may not have been able to track before using Google Analytics or other digital tools. So we do that two ways. So the first that I'm showing you here is source level tracking. So this one's pretty straightforward. We track inbound calls driven by different marketing channels based on the phone number that they're calling. So when you set up your CallRail account, you of course link phone numbers to specific sources or tactics. When people call those numbers, we know that they came from those sources. The second is keyword level tracking. So this one's a little bit interesting in this graphic. If it were, in my opinion, it'd be more complete if there was a step before all of those people. So before prospects view your website, they come from somewhere. Maybe they're searching attorneys in X city or what have you, but they're coming into your website from somewhere, and then they're assigned a tracking number from a pool that you have that stays with them through their journey in that session on your website. So no matter which page they go to, they're going to see that same phone number. And that phone number allows us to identify the path that they took to get there. So what keyword they searched before ultimately landing on your web page and then calling your firm. So now I'm going to dive into the analyze piece. You can go to the next slide. So I wanted to show you a little bit about what that looks like. So this is an example of a timeline that every visitor or caller, sorry, has. And you can glean a couple of things from here. So the first and potentially one of the most powerful is being able to see the campaign and keywords and the source of this particular lead. So they came from Google Ads. The keyword they searched was workplace injury, Connecticut, and they ended up on your about page of your website. The second piece of information to kind of glean from this is you're getting some visibility into what happens, what journey people take once they land on your website before they call you. So in this case, this person went to the About page, jumped to the Contact Us page, read a little bit on the Services page, and then went back to the Contact Us page before calling your firm. And you'll notice that at the very top of the timeline there, you'll see inbound recorded call. All of your CallRail calls are recorded so that you can listen to them for quality assurance or even just to, validate something you think you thought you heard. So I don't have time today to go through all of the different types of reports that CallRail offers, but you can see on the left side there are many, and including custom reports. But really the point of all of these is to help you understand where you're spending your money and what is driving not only the highest number of raw leads to your phone calls, but also those actually qualified leads. So you'll see in this example, Google Ads, of course, is driving the highest volume of both raw and qualified leads. But there are a couple of other things that this particular attorney may be investing in from a marketing perspective that aren't driving the same ROI and can be costly. For example, the billboard or the radio ad or the direct piece, which are driving very few both raw and qualified leads in comparison to some of the other things. So these types of reports just help you make decisions. So I mentioned call recording earlier, and I know that's a big one. I was speaking with an attorney a couple of weeks ago who said, you know, I've never had to use any of my recordings for any particular reason other than to go back and amend my notes, but it's nice to know that I have them in case I need to validate something later on. And you can also use those recordings for qualification and coaching. If you have a large staff of people who are answering your phone calls, you may want to understand why some clients convert, or some calls convert to clients and others don't. And the recordings are a great way to do that. An even easier way to do that is through something we call conversation intelligence, which actually kind of removes the manual work of having to listen to those recordings, and it actually transcribes your calls. And then instantly categorizes and scores those calls. And we do that through two different ways. You can see on the right. Highlights are automatically generated by the CallRail system based on machine learning. So the frequency of words mentioned on specific calls and those sorts of things. Keywords are actually set up by you, the user. So if there are specific keywords like, you know, appointment, consultation, those kinds of things that you want to categorize or maybe even trigger some action like tagging or qualifying, you can do that from this as well. So lastly, we're going to talk about optimizing marketing ROI, which is why we're all here, right? So these are just some examples of things that you can do once you have that arsenal of data in your pocket. So of course, optimizing campaigns and lowering cost per lead or cost per client is the biggest. You can double down on the campaigns and keywords and landing pages that are performing well. And you can either do this to save costs, to lower your marketing costs overall, or just to make your marketing spend more effective. And I'm always going to recommend testing, measuring, iterating, and repeating. And I think all of us on the marketing side would say those things. And what CallRail does is it really allows for that measure piece quickly so you can make the decisions you need to iterate. You can optimize your training. Oh, sorry, not quite done. You can optimize your training through the recordings, like I mentioned earlier, and understand why some convert and some don't if you need to. You can optimize your scheduling, so ensuring phones are staffed at all of those busy and important times. Like we were talking about earlier, a lot of calls come in after hours, and it's vital to know what that volume looks like and make sure that those people are handled in an appropriate nature, or else they'll just find somebody else, and unfortunately that will be a lost opportunity. You can also do something called day parting with your leads this way. If you understand when the busiest days and times are that people are calling, you can adjust your Google ads to do that. And lastly, on the content side, we all know that content marketing and education is huge in getting new clients. So helping inform your content strategy from the keywords and information that you're gleaning from phone calls so that you can help drive SEO for your site. And I will leave you with a little quote. This is a very basic, very straightforward quote from one of our attorney clients. He said, "I throw a lot of money at marketing. I have no idea what I'm throwing away and what is working. With CallRail, I could figure out what's working and what's not." So pretty simple.
That's great. Thanks so much, Jessica. You know, a couple of keynotes that I took from that. 96% of people looking for legal advice start online. I guess sometimes they're triggered by TV and then they go online. People are spending 10 to 20% of their revenue on marketing. You know, I was really fascinated by your conversation intelligence. So essentially you're using artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify the keywords in a chat. So the robot's pulling the keywords out of that conversation, and then it's sort of pre-qualifying those calls for you. How are the lawyers using that technology?
Yeah, so like I said, if somebody, you know, says the word consultation, or in the example I showed, if somebody talks about an injury, maybe the system will automatically tag it as potential injury or as consultation, and then reports can be pulled later on to see the volume of calls that are coming in for specific keywords, so that you can either adjust your strategy or just have visibility into how many new calls you're getting each month or week or year based on consultation requests versus other things.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Next, we're going to go to Ashley, and I have the content was great, so I have more questions, but I'm going to save them to the end. And as I mentioned, if everyone wants to save questions to the end, that'd be great. So next up is Ashley Luck. She's been with Unbounce for over 5 years, helping develop marketing campaigns. After graduating from UBC in beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada, and she's hyper-focused on driving campaign strategy and lead gen. Unbounce is the world's leading landing page and conversion platform. We've been with you folks for many, many years. I mentioned we have over 2,300 landing pages in our account, and I'm sure we've gotten rid of a lot of losers over the years. So with that, I'm pleased to welcome Ashley Luck.
Great. Thanks for that intro, Jay. So as Jay mentioned, a little bit about Unbounce is that we're a landing page platform that lets you test, publish, and even optimize your landing pages for your marketing campaigns. And a lot of law firms from around the world are using us, including Jay's. And you can easily use our platform to integrate with over 1,000 different tools too, to pass your leads and prospects into your systems. So I'm excited today to share some best practices for how you can use landing pages for improving your conversions. And by the end, I hope you'll get some takeaways and insights too. But I wanted to first kick things off with what a conversion is. So Jay kind of briefly mentioned this at the beginning, but a conversion is really defined as whatever you decide your ultimate goal of your campaign is. So examples for this, particularly in legal, could be getting your prospects to sign up for a consultation via a form, or clicking on a phone number to call you directly, as Jessica mentioned with CallRail. Every aspect of your marketing campaign, including your landing page, should be nudging people toward that one conversion goal. And so with that in mind, I just want to go over some key differences between what a website and a landing page is, and why do they even matter. So, well, to answer the first question, I thought we should talk about websites first. So on the left-hand side, we have an example of a legal website. And you want to think of your website much like Brand Central Station, kind of like Grand Central Station. It's really nice to look at, but it's got a lot of things going on, and it's getting a lot of traffic and places to go. Your prospects are coming in and out of your station per se, because there's a ton of different distractions on your website. And if we look at this example, we can see yellow dots, and these yellow dots represent links and calls to action that your prospects can click on. And it's a lot, and it can be kind of overwhelming for them to know where they should be clicking. And every link on that page doesn't represent your one particular conversion goal necessarily. So it's a distraction that can dilute your message and actually lower your chance at getting a conversion too. So while the website has a ton of potential distractions like this, a landing page, which is the example on the right, is super focused. And this is an example of the same law firm, but just a landing page version. So its single purpose is really to convert your prospects into customers or leads. And in this example, we can see there's only 2 links that essentially share the same call to action of schedule a call. So it's very hyper-focused and targeted in that sense. And it's really important to streamline your links on your landing page, because that helps increase your chances of your prospects converting, since there's a lot of less of a reason for your prospects to be drawn away from your main call to action. And that's kind of why, if you go back, Jay, one slide. That's why a landing page ultimately does a better job at helping you convert your prospects into customers than regular website pages like the homepage. So next slide. So knowing what a landing page is, I wanted to cover 5 critical elements for creating a high converting landing page and how you can optimize each to get more prospects and clients. So the first element is your unique selling point, or what we call the USP in the marketing world. It's a clear statement that describes the benefit of your offer, how you can solve your customers' needs, and what distinguishes you from the competition. A successful USP is made up of 4 bits typically, a headline, a subheadline, a reinforcing statement, and a closing statement as well. So if you're running paid ads or sending emails and any of that traffic to your landing page, it's really important to match that message that you're using in any of those pieces. So for instance, if you show a prospect a social ad that says, I don't know, like affordable family law in Vancouver, you'll want to use that same headline on your landing page so people know where they're landing and it's the right place they're landing. And the next element is your hero shot. So a hero shot on your landing page is the visual representation of your offer and can help people gain a better understanding of what it is or what it looks like. So in the case of legal, say you specialize in family law. This is kind of a really good opportunity to feature an image of maybe a family in your hero shot. Or if you're an independent contract lawyer, this would be a good opportunity also to feature a headshot of yourself too, to give yourself a little bit more visibility and people are able to associate the landing page with you. The next element is your benefits, and that's where you want to speak directly to the pain points your prospects feel and showcase how you're different from your competitors. So this can also help prospects understand why they should choose you and how your services or what you have to offer will ultimately help solve their problems. And maybe in the case of legal, this is where you speak to how your legal fees are really affordable because your clients can pay as they go, or maybe your legal team is really experienced and has won X amount of cases in your area of legal practice. The next element is your social proof. And a social proof is essentially a customer quote. It could be a testimonial. It could be logos of client companies that you've worked for, ratings that you've received too. Whatever it is, it ultimately helps build trust between you and your prospects. So for instance, you can use this section to include a client testimonial and how they had an amazing experience with you because you always had their best interests in mind whenever you were working with them. And it's really important to accompany whatever that quote is with their image of them and their name, just so it can help validate their testimonial a little bit further. The last piece is your call to action, and that's your main conversion goal. So what I mentioned earlier in a few slides back, and that's the one action that you want your visitors to take on your page. So whatever your CTA is, it's really best to avoid blank buttons like click here and submit. What I try to do is design your button I suggest you design your button copy to answer the question of I want to. So you can try to use conversational language with that too. Something like book a free consultation or give us a call or request a consultation. Something a little bit more than just a submit button. Next slide. So now that we've gone over the elements of a high converting page, you're probably wondering, well, how do I know what a good or bad conversion rate is for my landing page? And that's actually a question we get quite a bit from our customers, and it really depends on your industry actually. But luckily we recently ran a machine learning analysis across 16 different industries, and legal was one of them. So I'm really excited to share some of the findings from that. We found that the median conversion rate for legal landing pages is 4.4%. So as you put together your landing pages and analyze and optimize the performance of them, you can use this 4.4% to see how you stacked up compared to other landing pages in your industry. And that way you can kind of have a sense of how you're performing and if it's below or above the median rate and how you can optimize as needed. So I also wanted to share some additional tips for your landing pages. Our analysis that I mentioned also showed that when you're building your landing pages, you can actually get away with using complex language on your legal landing page. So as we see with the first graph on the left, Jay, if you click, there's a little bit of animation here. It measures the readability of text based on the Flesch Reading E-score. And what that means is, according to our findings, the sweet spot for converting on legal landing pages is between 30 and 50, which equals to writing at a college level. But I want to caveat that with, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be adding a whole bunch of text to your landing page like it's a college essay. In fact, if we look at the graph on the right, we can see that it shows how conversion rates decline as word counts go up on your page. So what this may suggest is that you should still keep the copy on your landing page short to help you get more prospects. And one thing you can do is really just see how shorter sentences and more complex or basic vocabulary on your landing page might have impact your conversion rates. Another tip I wanted to share too, based on our analysis, is that we saw some evidence that using negative emotions like anger and fear may actually correlate with lower conversion rates on legal landing pages specifically. So in other words, words that express anger, like common lawyer terms like harass, litigate, mislead, obstruct, or guilty, that can actually turn off your prospects. And what this means is that when it comes to highlighting your benefits and unique selling point on your landing page, pressing on pain points is probably going to be a little less effective than emphasizing professionalism and positive outcomes per se. So I'd recommend that you veer away from using language that could stir any kind of negative emotions for your prospects, and instead focus on how you can help them and the results that you can help them see with your legal services too. And just to cap things off, I wanted to mention that the previous graphs and data findings that I showed are featured in our upcoming 2020 conversion benchmark report. And that report digs deeper into our machine learning analysis of legal landing pages. You can subscribe via that link that's on the slide too. Oh, Jay's pulling it up, I think. And
let me put it in the chat.
Oh, put it, okay, perfect. You can subscribe there if you're interested in learning more. And there's also tips on how you can optimize your landing pages too.
That was really awesome. To talk for 1 minute more about the reading ease. That was a little confusing to me.
Yeah, for sure. So part of our report and analyzed reading ease, which is basically comprehension in a way, how much text you should have on your landing page, or what the recommended amount of text is based on the landing pages that converted at a certain amount of copy and ease on that landing page. The report goes into a little bit more of a breakdown on how recommendations around ways you can write for your landing page within a specific industry to help your audience kind of understand and consume what service or product you're offering a little bit more. It's really just a guideline essentially to see how you can best kind of set up and structure and create copy for your landing page.
Awesome. Well, I have about a dozen questions for you, so hopefully we'll get some time at the end.
Okay.
And without further ado, let's go to the grandfather. Harlan has been doing legal advertising and marketing for law firms since 1978. He was actually the first one to put law firm advertising on TV. He's worked with over 130 law firms. He's highly, highly respected in the industry. He's now doing private consulting after being one of the founders of Lead Docket, which is simple lead tracking for law firms. So without further ado, Harlan, take it away.
Well, thank you, Jay. I want to say something to all the panelists. You all have great products, and I've used them many, many times over, and they're excellent tools. With that being said, about 15 years ago, yes, I started legal advertising in 1978. I had an advertising agency. I merged it with another agency, and 4 years ago, I retired from that agency. I retired from the agency, not from work, and now I am in private business. I have Lead Docket, founder of National Trial Lawyers, and so on. About 15 years ago, my clients came to me and said, I want more leads. And I said, what'd you do with the last ones? And they said, well, they weren't any good. And I started to scratch my head and realize that, these people are throwing business away. And I came to that conclusion after, recording calls and analyzing things and saying, we're working our tails off, bringing you leads. Speed that up to about 10 years ago, I started to really jump into analytics and understand, because I wanted to prove to my clients that they were wrong. And 5 years ago, with my two partners, Dino Colombo and Eric Kaufman, we developed Lead Docket. Lead Docket really pulls all of these presentations, all of these tools together into one dashboard. It is a true CRM, client relations management tool. I want to position this as a marketing tool. It is purely a marketing tool because you're in the marketing business when you start to advertise or even think about getting clients, and you have to approach intake and conversion as a marketing. One thing I discovered over the last 10 or 15 years is that the biggest hole in a law firm's bucket is intake. And I say that without any reservation. Lawyers seem to come up with the statistic of I get 94% of everything that I want. Well, that's very relative to what you want, what you think you want, what you don't. I also own the trademark, what you don't know, you don't know. And the reason I trademarked that is because what lead docket or what client relationship management tools, intake and conversion tools do is it tells you what you don't know. I use a call rail extensively over the years, and their call recording tells you everything that happened on that call. It is undeniable what happened. It is undeniable what the intake representative said and what the client said. And in fact, the last 2 years of my dictation at the agency, I wouldn't take a client on unless I could record all their phone calls. And it worked out, pretty well because we got clients really involved with understanding what they're missing, not what they're getting. Lawyers have a tendency, not a tendency, their habit, their main focus is, what did I get today? Not what did I miss today? You'll never find or rarely find a law firm that says, well, what didn't we write today? What didn't we get today? How many calls did we get that we didn't convert? And the entire focus of lead docket was to really bring a accountability mechanism that downloads and works completely into a smart advocate or any other case management system that you have. But philosophically, which is what I want to really talk about, is understanding how to increase your business. If you can convert more leads that you already paid for, that's real money. That's real money in your pocket. And I can guarantee you, and in advertising, there's an old saying, we guarantee nothing because it's all hot air. But I will guarantee you that if you go to a client management, customer management system, whether it's Salesforce or Lead Docket, there's a couple of other systems on the market, you will increase your business because it'll tell you what you don't have. It'll put in a process in place from the time the phone call is made to the time the call is what we call closed out, where is a disposition of the call. And the second best answer that you could ever get in sales is no. What I'm saying is that this is a sales process. And if you look at it any other way, you're in denial. When we built Lead Docket, my criteria was to put together a piece of software that can be easily used by people. And the reason I say that is because if you make it easy, they'll use it. And it's not built on a Microsoft platform. It's built on a very dynamic platform that allows a great deal of customizing to your practice. I also wanted to be half the price of anything else that was on the market, because not having to pay Microsoft and building it on a simple platform that's extremely robust, I guess we simply priced it affordably. So really what happened over the last 3 or 4 years is the product has exploded. About 6 months ago, we happened to have the opportunity, a great opportunity, to merge the product with FileVine, and today Lead Docket is standing on its own. It is its own product, and we have a great partner. But it completely integrates with any software, any case management system that's out there. So it's really a wonderful tool. Let me put something in perspective for you. Out of the 4,000 lawyers that advertise on television, approximately 4,000, believe it or not, only 10% have client customer relations management tools in place. That's staggering. Lawyers seem to be in denial. They seem to say, I don't need that, or I do need it, or I get my information from my case management system. Well, not so. The level of Lead Docket and the ability to pull everything in and really understand and manage the leads is enormous. But what's most important to me about Lead Docket is how you deal and interface with the client that's calling. Client calls, you have a conversation. Yes, it can be recorded. And actually, we use CallRail to do that because it lines up perfectly. We use CallRail a lot. I keep on mentioning CallRail because it's such an important part of my business. It gives you an opportunity to have a complete texting relationship. Text to thank you, text to tell you about your appointment, text to say, we're here to help you. It's a whole relationship marketing tool, and it's a very important tool. The second most important thing to me is to tell you what you didn't do today and get you to do it. The owner of the firm can walk in, open up his lead docket app, and the dashboard will tell you exactly what took place yesterday, exactly what took place in live time. And with that, you can manage your leads. You can manage your business, really. So there's probably 100, 150 other features on Lead Docket. I'm really here to tell you about how to market your practice. Whether you use Lead Docket or whether you use any of the other systems that are out there, in all honesty, it'll help you increase your business. You'll get an increase if you really jump into this kind of a piece of software, whether it's this or somebody else's. You'll increase your business between 20 and 30%. That was my impetus in bringing this to the forefront with agencies. If a client makes more money, they're going to spend more money with you. But most importantly, it really allows you to manage your business, manage your leads, and manage your economics.
Harlan, that's awesome. And of course, I have a bunch of questions for you, but I'm going to get into Claude's presentation and then we'll go there. So give me 1 second here. Okay, Smart Advocate. All right, well, Claude's the manager of Smart Advocate's training department. After having been a personal injury trial attorney, as well as writing and publishing numerous articles and presenting at a number of seminars and symposiums. So without further ado, let's learn about Smart Advocate.
Why, thank you, Jay, and thanks to the other presenters. It's awesome to be on such an August panel. Incidentally, Smart Advocate integrates with every single one of your presenters so far. So a great team, and we've been doing that for a long time, every single one of them. But today, I just want to take a few minutes and talk to you a little bit or highlight a few features that you perhaps may want to look for in a case management system in general, and then of course some specifics with Smart Advocate. Now, the presenters that I've taught so far have been convincing in letting you know how to market your firm, how to get your leads in, how to get your cases in. But then once they come in, what do? You need a system to help you manage that practice, manage that firm, and manage those cases. One of the highlights that you may want to look for is ease of accessing your data, such as getting a lot of your information on one screen where you don't have to scramble looking for things like the status of a matter, the client's information, and so forth. So looking for a system that will help you do that is one of the key things that you may want to look for. The next one, Jay. With that said, you also want to look for some product that will help you automate the process, right? You have a typical auto accident case that comes in. In general, the process is pretty much identical. So look for a system that will help you automate that process so that you're able to take the mundane and day-to-day activities and have the system do those for you. A new auto accident case comes in, have the system generate your welcome letters automatically. Have it set tasks for your paralegal or your attorney to do things. A system that allow you to implement a workflow or work plans will help you do that. And that's some of the things that you may want to look for in the case management system. Now, the next slide, take that to the next level. Take the automation to the next level. So look for a system that will do some of the work for you as much as possible. Your staff, your attorneys should be out there practicing law. They shouldn't be chasing after clients more than they need to. So have the system in place in your firm do some of that heavy lifting for you. Have the system do some of that work for you so that a client is scheduled for an IME. Have the system automatically send them a text reminder. using some of the products that you heard about today. Smart Advocate and other better case management systems will allow you to do that. Automatically assign staff when something comes in. All right, so look for some of the automations that you can get in your case management system. The next slide will highlight for you some of the things that you need to look for with respect to your document management. Now, we know that in today's world with technology the way it is, and you hear the buzzword, we want to go paperless. We all know that in the legal profession, that's perhaps one of the last place that you're going to be paperless. It means then that your practice generates so much paper that you have to have a good way of managing that. You need to be able to get to your documents easily and conveniently. You need a system that will incorporate your document management with your case management system so that you don't have to go outside of the system to get to your documents in your case. You want to see the medical records, you should be able to get that in a matter of seconds. So you want to look for a system that will help you do that, help you organize your documents in such a way that you can get to them easily and conveniently. And also, with respect to generating your documents, which the next slide kind of highlight for you. You have spent, you and your staff have spent a lot of time entering data in your case management system. You need to make the system work for you in using that data to generate your documents. You should not be reinventing the wheel. So you're going to look for a system that will allow you to create things like templates and do so easily, so that you can use the data that have been entered in your system on a day-to-day basis to produce your finished product for you. You shouldn't be spending a lot of time generating routine documents such as your letters or your pleadings or your complaints and things like that. The data is in the system. You need a system that will then use that data to create your documents for you. Right? The next slide will highlight for you some of the additional, from a management perspective, some of the things that you want the system to help you with. Harlan and the others have highlighted a few. From a management perspective, you need to know what's happening in your firm now, right now, this second. You should not have to go to things like spreadsheets and so forth to see where your leads are coming from, what's happening to those leads, what kind of follow-up is being done, the financial reports that you need to get from the system, such as your dashboards, your advertising campaign, which some have talked about before. So you want a system that will incorporate those features and the data that you have entered to give you that in your fingertips. Things like your reports that have to be automated, right? So that you can have your reports sent to you. And that's okay, Jay, you could go to the next one. Have a system that incorporate things like a calendaring system. That's part of your case management system. You should not need to go outside of the system to see an overall picture of your appointments and things that need to be done. An integrated calendaring system will help you do that. You look for a system that will also incorporate other things, such as Outlook, where you can have your calendar appointments go directly to Outlook from Smart Advocate or from your case management system. Right? And of course, from the client perspective, we know how difficult it is sometimes to deal with clients. Believe it or not, our clients think that we're sitting at our desk day in and day out and working on nothing but his or her case. They don't realize that you have 100 other clients to deal with. And of course, your staff is going to be inundated with the routine phone calls. What's happening to my case? And then your staff has to spend a lot of time and effort getting on the phone, answering a phone call, or calling the client. Look for a system that will incorporate things like a client portal, where 24/7, your clients can get access to information that you allow them to see in their cases, exactly where their case is, upcoming appointments, the documents that you might have shared with them, or have them upload documents to you directly from something like a client portal. And then finally, with the way technology is today, you want instantaneous gratification. You want to be able to access your information anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Look for a system that have things like an app that will allow you access to that information from your mobile device or your smartphone. such as your calendars, your cases, the documents in your case, and so forth. So a system that incorporate those features are ones that will allow you to be more efficient, allow you to be more profitable, and spend more time doing the things that you need to do that's making money. And that's it. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And of course, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
That was awesome. And thank you so much for sharing all that detail. I guess I'd ask the question from a client's perspective. I was rear-ended in November, and I'm one of the, I know a lot of lawyers and I work with a lot of lawyers, but I'm a typical client when it comes down to it. I'm always asking that question, like, what's happening with my case? I went to the chiropractor, I got an MRI, and I'm kind of in that never land. How does Smart Advocate intelligently solve that problem for the consumer?
Well, one of the features I just highlighted is the client portal. So if you have a client portal, let's say, for example, then you can give your client access to their cases right there. So they can go in and the client portal will show them the current status of their case. Not only does something like a client portal allow you to do that, but it will also show the client what's yet to come. So for example, you particularly, Jay, in your auto accident, if 6 months ago you came in and you were able to look at the client portal, you can see, okay, this is what's happening. I'm still treating, or next my lawyer is going to make a demand, or they're talking to the insurance company, et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of allay your fears and also manages your expectation, because you can go right there and you can see what's happening, what's coming next, and what has been done. So that's one of the features that the system can use to help educate you and alleviate the problems that the firm will have with communicating with you.
That's awesome. Well, I want to open up questions, so anyone please type questions into the chat. But I certainly have to ask the Godfather. Harlan calls himself the grandfather, but Harlan, you probably have the best perspective of any of us on the call of from starting with chat and calls, and then landing pages and different testing, and through your own tool and all the way into a CRM. We want to talk maybe a little bit about, if let's say a young law firm is starting out, how do they integrate these tools? What are the best practices if you can do that in about 2 minutes?
Well, best practices are always in the forefront. I believe you start with you need to use almost all of these things, but you start with a case management system, and you have to have a case management system to manage your business, manage your cases. And I think as your advertising grows or it even begins, you start to integrate, accountability. Certainly you need a website. It's the foundation of advertising. You have to have some type of a website. Anybody that wants to know anything about you or anything else in this world is going to go to your website. And so that's ground zero. And then you move up from there.
Great. And maybe this is a good question for everyone, given, if you're watching this sometime in the future, it's May 19th, 2020. We're about 2 months into quarantine and some markets are just starting to come out. Maybe we'll start at the top and start with Jason and go through each of the panelists. But, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from the lawyers? How bad is it for their business, and has anyone pivoted and created new practice areas to take advantage of our current negative situation? Jason, you want to start?
Yes. Well, we've seen that initially when this, when the stay-at-home order came into effect, we weren't getting a lot of business. And once people found out that, I sort of adapted, and we've seen that we were able to help a lot of attorneys increase their virtual consultations. And we started incorporating that in our script that we use to communicate with their website visitors. And then especially, we've seen a huge increase in the amount of family law attorneys. I think, and this is just a theory of mine, people are like in quarantine and they're at home with their wives, and and that's causing like domestic problems. So family law attorneys are getting a lot of leads. Bankruptcy law attorneys are getting a lot of leads. Estate planning, wills and trusts, all these types of practices have seen a significant increase in the amount of leads after this whole COVID situation started.
Not what we want to hear, but good for those businesses.
Yeah.
Jessica, what are you seeing on the call side?
So obviously during this time, calls to businesses of all kinds have decreased as they shut their doors. But people are still keeping their phone lines up and running. Maybe they've transitioned the way they answer those calls. So another product that we didn't have a chance to talk about that CallRail offers allows you to have a soft phone. So you can easily then answer any calls that are coming into your firm from your laptop or your mobile phone. And we're seeing obviously an uptick in the use of that product, and also allowing people to be able to route calls differently. So, either to an answering service or to a different person or division, as some firms have right-sized a little bit and maybe have smaller staffs now or furloughed some employees, just being able to be nimble with the way they handle those phone conversations. But having a phone line and a phone number for people to contact you on is still paramount. And as the kind of ice melts on all of this stuff, we're seeing an increase again in call volume.
Great, thank you. Ashley, what are the learnings from Unbounce and your lawyer clients?
Yeah, it's been interesting to say the least. I think a lot of businesses are trying to pivot, especially to move online, and landing pages have definitely been able to help with that, especially for smaller law firm businesses, just to be able to quickly launch a landing page in a certain amount of time, get it up and running, include, CallRail, integrate that. So they're able to track their numbers through that and put that into their CRM system as well. But quite a few have quickly been able to use our pages to get up and running, especially just in response to the demand that might be out there, especially in, we saw, I think, just before COVID hit, medical law, legal services, and injury law in particular were converting at a slightly higher rate than that median I shared, which was 4.4. So they've been able to pivot pretty quickly as well.
Great. Claude, what learning from Smart Advocate can you share?
Well, demand for a case management system in general, and certainly for Smart Advocate, has remained strong, especially now because those firms who never had a system in place, now they realize that working remotely, having a system will help them to do that, especially with features like e-signature, sending documents to be signed electronically to their clients, where the client now can't come to the office. Having a case management system that not only will generate those documents for you, but to be able to send them to the client either by texting or email to get them signed and come back in. Now, a lot of firms are looking for systems that will help them in those areas and in those respects. So the demand has remained strong. A lot of people are asking about new features that they never thought about before or weren't interested in. So given the climate, we're seeing some increase in along those areas for the system.
Great, thank you. A question from Gloria. Does Lead Docket integrate with Time Matters?
I believe it does. Time Matters, however, may be a closed system, so you have to press one more button. It's not a cloud-based. I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure it does.
All right, well, maybe I'll get you Gloria's contact info and you can get back to her. I think this question's specific for Jason. Do you have examples of successfully using chat in any legal area other than PI? How do your chat reps qualify leads and answer questions they may not be qualified to answer? Do potential clients get upset when the rep cannot answer their questions?
Yeah, so we, I'll go step by step. So we service over 3,000 law firms nationwide. And like I mentioned, we work with bankruptcy law attorneys, immigration law, pretty much every practice out there, criminal defense. So, I mean, we work with, and we have industry trained live chat agents for each one of those practices. So we just don't work with personal injury law firms. We work with pretty much every practice out there. Secondly, how do we qualify leads? That's a very good question. So there are like 3 different lead classifications that we provide to our clients when we send them a lead, which is sales, service, and other. And then we only bill our clients for the qualified sales leads where we get the visitor's name. The visitor is interested in hiring an attorney from your firm. Their case fits your area of practice. They are within your geographic coverage area that you provide us with, and then we get their contact information like their phone number or email ID. So you only get billed for those types of leads. You don't get billed for existing clients, and you don't get billed for people that are outside of your geographic coverage area, or if their case does not fit your area of practice, or essentially a junk lead, someone looking for free legal advice. Then what was the last part of the question? Do they get upset? So we don't provide any sort of legal advice whatsoever because the people that are chatting with your visitors are not attorneys, and we let the visitors know that you're not chatting with an attorney. So our main role in this whole thing is to engage your website visitors by answering a few simple questions related to your practice, and make sure that they are interested in hiring an attorney. Their case fits your area of practice, they're within your service area, and we have their contact information. And then we pass along that information to you either via call connect. We have the ability to connect a visitor from within the chat to your office via telephone during the hours you've specified. We could also text you the information, and we will also email you the entire chat transcript as well for immediate follow-up from your firm.
That's awesome. Thank you. Well, this next question I'm going to ask some of the toughest questions that we get, and I don't want to call it a trick question, but because it's a tough question. So first, I'll ask Jessica because it's specific to the call number, and I'm sure Harlan and others might weigh in on this. When we institute call rail tracking numbers, a lot of clients are a little hesitant because they've had their phone number for many years. And obviously clients who have a television phone number like 888-HURT or 812 results or whatever, they don't want to change the number on the homepage of their website. But what do you recommend, and what's the best practice for clients that are hesitant to change the phone number? And part 2 is what happens when someone uses the tracking number to call the attorney, and then they keep calling the attorney with that tracking number over time? So 2-part question.
Great question. Okay, so the first part, I guess the best way to answer this is fairly bluntly, right? So unfortunately, there is a little bit of a dichotomy here in determining whether or not it is most important to you to have that vanity number or to track your marketing efforts. And I don't say that to be kind of aggressive in my response, but there are very real risks associated with not tracking your marketing efforts. And yes, there may be some perceived risk for a phone number that is different from what people are used to hearing appearing on your website or in other places. But the risk that they may decide not to call you because that phone number is different is low, much lower than the risks associated with not being able to track your marketing at all. My advice for somebody who wanted to keep a vanity number like that would be to continue to use that number on offline marketing. So, billboards, TV commercials, radio ads, where people don't have time to take a pen and write down a new phone number, and then to use tracking numbers in the online marketing activities that they're doing.
Harlan, you mentioned.
Yeah, that was a great answer because that is the answer. The truth of it is you have to track everything. I'm obsessed with tracking, and if you don't track your business, you don't track your leads, you don't track and record, you're not going to grow your business exponentially because you don't know what you have or what you don't have. And I'm not a believer of branding a phone number. I'm a believer of branding your name with an easily dialed phone number. And you're absolutely correct. It's almost impossible to steer a client that has just spent a fair amount of money for a great number, what's considered a great number. away from it. But on web, on all the other particulars, it's an imperative to use tracking numbers. And I think you can use a tracking number behind a significant number, can't you? And so if you have, 1-800, blah, 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 you can put a tracking number behind it. It's not going to give you the accuracy, because it's on billboard, it's on television, it's on what have you. But, that's my philosophy.
Yeah, and to answer your second question, which was what happens if somebody calls that number later. So research shows that people don't save business numbers in their phones, but if they do and they call that number back later, it is absolutely fine. It will still ring through to that business. The only risk, and it's very slight, is that there may be some misattribution if for some reason that number is also being put in front of somebody else on your website. So it's important to have a keyword pool, we call it, or a number pool that's large enough to sustain the type of traffic you get on your website. And we consult with all of our clients to make sure that they are making that keyword pool the appropriate size for their business based on traffic.
Great. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that question? Claude or Ashley, Jason, we'll keep you. You guys want to stay in your lane today. Okay. Well, I got a good one for each of you. Ashley, I'm sorry, this is my trick question for you. Maybe not a trick question, and I'm sure the other panelists will weigh in. Whenever we approach a design project, the attorneys always want to know, what should the hero shot be? And by the way, I loved your 5 criteria for a landing page: the unique selling proposition, the hero shot, the benefits, the testimonial, and the call to action. But the hero shot is a question we always have. If I'm a lawyer, let's use the simple example we used before, a car accident lawyer. Should I show a car accident? Should I show a lawyer? Should I show a courtroom? Or should I show a check? Or maybe the most important role, if that lawyer is fighting with the insurance company. So what should the hero shot be for a car accident lawyer?
Yeah, that's a great question, design-wise, for a landing page. My answer is you can test and see which works best. It's always best to try and use an image that really associates and ties in terms of relevancy to what you're offering and what you're saying on your landing page. So if your headline is really tooting car accidents, maybe that's your opportunity where you put a car accident image there. Or if it's really highlighting how you're helping, which I recommend is the best way you can make share the positive outcomes that you can have on whoever your audience is, then use that image to really show like a happy person who is coming out of a legal kind of situation. It really depends, but I would say testing and optimizing for whatever works best is really my answer, is just trying to see what resonates best with your audience, and landing pages, specifically Unbounce, really lets you do that. Actually, there's a feature we just released too, which actually reroutes your traffic based on the page or the landing page variant that's best for your audience. So that's a really perfect opportunity for you to test images and video content too in your hero area, just to see what works and what doesn't. And yeah.
Great answer. Anyone else want to take a crack at that? What should the hero shot be for a car accident lawyer? Harlan, I know you have an opinion.
Well, I believe it should be about the client, not about the lawyer. And I firmly believe that you talk to the public the way you would a jury. And I've done that. That's the backbone of my advertising. But the truth of it is that, the hero shot, could be the testimonial. Who's the hero in this? I think the victim is who you want to be the hero, because they want them to survive. You want them to have a great outcome. I don't want to say that's a trick question, but I think it's about the client.
Very well put. All right, Claude, you're not getting away easy. We got one for you here too. One of the secret sauce on Smart Advocate is that it successfully tracks a keyword or a TV commercial right through into the case management system. So I'll explain that if everybody doesn't understand. If somebody searches, I'll use the same example, car accident lawyer, or if somebody watches a certain commercial, maybe it's the testimonial commercial, and the person calls that number or clicks that ad, and then they eventually sign on with the firm, Smart Advocate is not only going to identify the keyword or the TV commercial that the person came in from, they're going to track that relationship all the way through
Right.
to getting a satisfied result for the client, either a settlement or a court case, and putting a number on that for the firm so they can actually evaluate and then work back and say, hey, these keywords resulted in very profitable cases, and this TV commercial was the most effective in not only converting the cases but generating back-end revenue for the firm. Do you want to speak to that and explain that a little bit and how it works and why that's so important?
It is vitally important. And in fact, in Smart Advocate, it starts tracking that from the first call. So at intake, one of the pieces of information you would solicit from the potential client is how did they hear about your firm? And that's where some of your other panelists come in, because they would have seen that advertisement, they would have seen that commercial, et cetera. And right off the bat, Smart Advocate starts tracking that, but that's not where it stops. It goes all the way through and give you your matrices at the end. So it will tell you how many leads were generated from that advertisement, how many of them you actually retained, because the client could come in, but they don't stay. They might go someplace else. What was the average retained, the average cost per call, the average retainer, and the average return for the firm itself at the end when the matter settles. So a good system such as Smart Advocate will track that for you all the way through the end. And on top of that, give it to you in a dashboard or in a report. In fact, you can go to the dashboard and instantaneously see exactly where your cases are, what the results have been for that type of case, for that injury from that source. And of course, having the automated reports, you can have that sent to you automatically on a schedule you select.
That's really great.
Jay, I want to just say one thing, and everybody knows that I'm a little opinionated only because I deal with what I've learned over the years. But I personally believe the worst question you could ask anybody is, how did you hear of us? I saw you on radio. You're just going to get bad answers, and bad answers in is bad answers out. And with no disrespect to anyone, the truth of the matter is it's just a terrible question, because people don't know how they heard of us. They do know if they saw us on a billboard, on this, on that. So it's faulty information. I mean, everybody asks the same question. I would prefer to ask the question, have you had an opportunity to see our website? You have to start somewhere, and you have to not put people, on the defense immediately, or put them, oh, look, I got to answer this person. And there are other times throughout the process that you can ask and do the interview as to how you really heard of us. But that's been my deal for many, many years, and I think I get better information that way.
If I may comment on that as well. So I've heard that frequently from law practices and other businesses, that it just adds friction to the conversation that doesn't need to be there. And it only tells a part of the story. So it just tells you what one thing they remember. So maybe they had been exposed to your firm online and then saw a TV commercial and then called you. They'll remember the TV commercial, and you won't get that kind of full journey.
Well said.
Point. And I'm going to screen share again here one more time. See if we can get this up. I was just pulling this data yesterday for a client, and this is about 450 leads, I think. And this is what's called multi-factor authentication, or multivariate. And so what this is saying is the number one way that this client converted leads, so either calls, chats, or form fills, was someone found them through organic and then typed in direct the firm's URL. So for example, they would go to, Jeff McDonald Law was an example that you used earlier. Ashley, I love Jeff. He's a rock star. So they found him organically, and then they typed in his URL. So 245 of the conversions, or 20%, found the firm organic, but then they typed in direct. So if you just looked at the final factor that they just typed in the website, you're missing the fact that they found you through organic. These people went direct twice, so they were probably a referral, but important to note, they went back twice. So the number two thing is people are doing their research. The third one was a referral to direct. And now this is not a person-to-person referral. This is a website referral, because this tracking comes from Google Analytics. So that means they went to maybe like Avo or FindLaw or something like that, or you know, some link to the website, and then they came back again direct. So we see that people do a lot of research. They come back to the sites again and again. Very, very important. So that's a really good point. Well, we have a couple minutes left, and I want to wrap up. But first of all, I want to thank you all very much for being here, and maybe just give everyone one last thought or one last recommendation for everyone who's watching about your product or service. And maybe we'll go in reverse order and start with Claude.
Sure. For most firms, you do need a good case management system. You need something to manage your practice, manage your staff, and manage your cases. So do your research, find what works best for you, your circumstance, your firm, your environment. Some people want the traditional server. Some people want to be in the cloud. So go and look to see what fits your practice, look at the things and the features that the case management system that you're interested in offers, ask questions, ask to see the system at work, ask to see how the system will work in your environment, and then come away educated and being able to make a better decision for your firm with respect to managing your practice and your staff and your cases.
Thank you, Harlan.
If you really want to take a good crack at advertising, you need every single thing that was said on this webinar, and every vendor here has a fabulous platform. It's time to get back to work. It's time to get back to advertising and getting back to earning more traction. The COVID thing is the light is at the end of the tunnel, but the reality is people are driving now. And I flipped the switch about 10 days ago, with my clients, and it's time to get back. Now, that's not saying you're not sensitive. I'm running about 10% COVID, advertising, but the rest is we're back to business. One of the things that really emerged from this whole episode was it gave everybody an opportunity, gave people who chose to take the opportunity to really reevaluate your business, evaluate your case management, your metrics, all the things that we've discussed today. And if you haven't done that, take the time to do that. It's time to realign your business and take that opportunity. That's where your opportunity is.
Great point. And I realized, I'm only driving about once every 10 days now. And when you get out there, you're a little rusty. So hopefully for the accident lawyers, we'll have some rusty drivers out there, and they'll be banging into each other at a higher rate. Ashley, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I think on that note of realigning your business, I think it's really important nowadays to try and create relevant messaging for your audience in order to focus on how you can solve that pain point that they were experiencing now, especially in this climate. So I think being able to use landing pages really helps tailor your messaging to that versus on websites that kind of have a whole bunch of different messaging going on. And being able to create that relevant messaging really helps resonate with your prospects and your clients too. And you'll also be able to kind of invest more into your marketing too without having to actually increase any spend or headcount. So I think being able to use landing pages in your tech stack is a really great investment for firms nowadays too.
Great, thank you. Jessica.
If you are a firm that relies on inbound phone calls to drive success and ultimately growth, if you aren't tracking where those calls are coming from, you're operating at a disadvantage. Really, CallRail is designed to help you have better outcomes, and I think all of these products are collectively, and it's important, especially during this time as people are kind of dipping their toe in the water out there. There's going to be potentially even more steep competition from online legal sources, from in your local area, and it's important to know what's working and what's not. I think somebody had sent, I think it was just a question to me earlier, but I could be wrong, about what about businesses that aren't super high volume in terms of the number of clients that they take on and the number of leads that they get. And I think it's even more important for those types of businesses to be tracking marketing spend, because that spend can get pretty costly if you're looking to recruit high value clients in smaller numbers. So I think it's still important And lastly, CallRail is not just call tracking. We can also track the same activities we can on a call for any web forms that are filled out on your website. As I mentioned earlier, you can use CallRail as a VoIP phone system, and of course communicate via text, which I think Harlan mentioned earlier, with your clients as well.
Awesome. Jason, you get the second last word because I'm taking the last word.
Sure, sure. So yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for attending the webinar. Thank the panelists and everyone, and just remind everyone that in this day and age, if you don't have chat on your website, chances are you're missing out on quite a few leads from your site. And I think everyone should invest in a chat service for their site, whether it's Apex Chat or any other chat provider out there. I think you should really invest and consider adding chat to your site. And yeah, we're here to help you if you have any other questions.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. I just want to sort of begin or end with the beginning where I said that these tools are fantastic ways to get your business intelligence. We kind of heard the same theme over and over. If you're tracking the difference between a call and a form fill, if all you have is form fills on your website, calls convert at about 28% and form fills convert at 2%. So you don't want to leave, like 25% of your best cases on the table. Adding chat to the website and landing pages, we see an increase in overall leads 30%. So even if you're already taking calls, some people are at work, they're just not going to call you, or they're in line at a bank, or they're watching TV with their kids. They're not going to call and talk about their car accident or, a medical malpractice case, but they will chat with you. So that increases your overall lead volume. And landing page testing, we've tested version A versus version B and seen 100% increase. So you got to be doing testing, and you got to have a testing calendar. And that's why we have so many unbalanced landing pages for our clients, over 2,300 pages. And finally, you want to integrate using tools like LeadDocket to integrate into your CRM and your case management. And then the value of those tools is that you can measure the value of those cases. And with all the technology up front, you understand the value of those cases all the way through. So that's why we set this webinar up, to take the technology all the way through to the CRM. I want to thank you all so much for being here. And I want to thank, in special, our panelists for making time. That's it. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
You.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.